I also have 4 questions to put to you. The first relates to the fact that I think you've identified a number of legal gaps that exist in the legal provisions that exist so far. Targeting. I think that the question of influencers is an unacceptable kind of manipulation where we really need to intervene on a European level. And I think as a consumer that the question on the digital contract is a real scandal, and it undermines consumers' rights. It's very easy to enter into those kind of contracts, and it's impossible often to get out of those subscriptions. So on the last 2 points, but also on the data partners and intervening on a European level, we need to take action. And I wonder whether the Commission is currently evaluating that, because that would also respond to the need to reduce the fragmentation, which is another part of your presentation. My second point is in light of wanting to look to what Michael McGrath and Ursula von der Leyen are seeking to achieve. So how does the Commission think that a balance could be struck between the simplification process, which we support strongly, and the need for new legislative proposals in this area? What is the balance that should be struck, and how do you expect to achieve that on balancing those 2 points? Then my third question relates to how you currently see the implementation and enforcement of the current provisions. What level of cooperation or non-cooperation have you come up against and identified with the national authorities in member states? And my fourth question, I'd like you to give some more clarification, if you can, about your ideas about how we can step up coordinator networks and reinforce those to offer a response to the better enforcement of European legislation as it exists at present. Thank you.
Mr. Gozi, thank you for your 4 questions. In particular, regarding the manipulation techniques, these dark patterns, we're in the process of evaluating all the techniques out there. A lot of them are covered by unfair practices, and we have lists, but there are also new phenomena coming up. So we have to evaluate using the general principles in our directives and see whether we can use them to cover everything, or to see whether we need to add new specific definitions to the UCPD list, or whether we need to modify the rules with guidelines to flesh them out. So these are things that we're in the process of doing. Regarding your second question on enforcement and the balance to be struck in the new legislation, yes, that's what we're going to be discussing with the Commissioner-designate McGrath, and our priority is to use to the utmost our current rules to continue to launch or to bring actions like against Temu and TikTok and Apple. And with these instruments that we have today, with these tools that we have today, to see how far we can get and to see to look at case studies and see with the existing tools what we can achieve. And there we find that even when we have very coordinated actions with our colleagues who work on the DSA and the colleagues in the competition department, because they're all competition cases, that we all come up against certain limits. So we have to work, and these were your third and fourth questions, on strengthening cooperation with the member states in the current framework. But we see in the strengthened actions on the CPC that it's voluntary on the part of the companies that proceedings are brought again. So the member states can bring actions, as happened, for example, in the CAT-MU. We have a strong support from the 27 member states behind the proceedings. It's been coordinated by Ireland, Belgium and Germany, but there are also countries that at national level are bringing their own legal proceedings and who are going to continue to push to get national action, and then they can impose sanctions but we can't do it completely under the CPC because it's a voluntary agreement, and it's that the companies enter into. So those are the limits in terms of sanctions and proceedings and evidence gathering. And it is something that we're going to have to discuss with Commissioner Designate McGrath to see how far he wants to go with that. But he has already said before you that he wants to make a priority of it